This meeting of the Richmond Rent Board is called to order at 5 p.m.
All right. Good evening, everyone, and welcome. Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining the March 16th, 2022 regular meeting of the Richmond Rent Board. Before we begin, I would like to go over a few reminders. Members of the public were asked to submit requests to speak on any item on the agenda, including their name, phone number, an item for which they wish to make a public comment to cynthia_shaw@ci.richmond.ca.us by 3 p.m. today, as described on the first page of the agenda. If you wish to make a comment on any item on the agenda and have not emailed me your request, you must do so in accordance with the first page of the agenda before the item is called. Requests received via email during the meeting and after the deadline to submit comments will be accommodated as reasonably possible and will be limited to a maximum of 1 to 2 minutes, depending on the number of commenters, as more fully described in the Rent Board meeting agenda procedures. This meeting is being conducted as a Zoom webinar. Members of the public are considered attendees and will be muted for the duration of the meeting unless called upon during public comment and unmuted by the webinar host. The city cannot guarantee that its network and/or the site will be uninterrupted. Please note that this meeting is being recorded and all statements made during this webinar will be on the public record. The first item on the agenda is the pledge to the flag. Everyone join me with the pledge of the flag. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic
which
it stands,
one
nation,
under God,
liberty,
indivisible,
with liberty and
and
justice for all.
justice for all.
The next item on the agenda is the roll call. For the purpose of the recording, may I please get an audible roll call from Rent Board members and staff? Board Member Connor? Board Member Connor? I thought I saw her. Okay. Board Member Johnson?
Present.
Board Member Vasilas?
Here.
Vice Chair Mishek?
Present.
Chair Finley?
Here,
Executive Director Nicholas Traylor?
Here. Deputy
Director Fred Tran?
Present.
And General Counsel Charles Oshanuga?
Here.
There you go. For the record, Board Member Connor is absent. I thought I saw her.
Her name is on. It looks like she's connected.
Okay, she's here. Okay.
I'm here.
Sorry.
I
Okay.
was sorry. I was just wrapping up a work call. I sent you a chat, but I couldn't talk.
Oh, sorry about that.
No
Didn't see
problem.
that. Sorry.
No
For the
problem.
record correction, Board Member Connor is here, so all board members and staff are present. The next item on the agenda is statement of conflict of interest. Are there any? Hearing none. The next item on the agenda is agenda review. Are there any changes to the agenda?
any changes from staff?
No changes.
Any changes from board members?
Hearing
right.
none. Okay, hearing none. The next item on the agenda is public forum. Tonight, we have one speaker. The speaker shall be allowed up to 2 minutes to address the board. When your name is called, please wait until the webinar host lets you know that you have been unmuted. For the record, please state your name and your residence is optional. Please terminate your address to the board when your time expires. We ask that you keep your comments respectful and appropriate. You will be muted when your time expires. The speaker is Cordell Hindler. Give me a second, Cordell. Let me do a new share, get the screen up. Okay, Cordell, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Good. So good evening, Chair Finley, board members and staff. My name is Cordell Handler and I'm a Richmond resident. And I have one invitation for the board. You are cordially invited to attend the Point Richmond Business Mixer on March 31st at Little Louie's Deli from 4:30 to 6:30. Tickets are only $10 if you're not a member. That's one. And then I was looking at the consent calendar, and I like F1 through F4, but F5 is I'll give you my reason for that one, because yesterday evening I attended the City of Pinole meeting, and there were a few members of the public that were in the chambers, and so I'm thinking that if Pinole can have a hybrid meeting, so I'm thinking that the rent board can do the same as well. Hopefully that will change like in the next 30 days or so. So I'm just asking that. I like F1 through F4 and but F5, I stated my reason for that particular item, because I miss seeing the board members in person, and I never got a chance to meet Mr. Tran. So hopefully I will meet him, the rest of the board, in person at some point. So F1 through F4 is okay. F5, I stated my reason. So with that, I have to hop off to another meeting. That's it.
Thank you. That was the only and last speaker.
All right. Do we have a motion on the floor to accept the consent calendar items F1, F2, F3, F4, and F5? May I have a motion, please?
So I make a motion that we accept the consent calendar items.
Thank you. May I have a second?
I second the motion.
May we have a vote, please?
Yes, Board Member Connor,
Yes.
Board Member Johnson,
Yes.
Board Member Vasilas,
Yes.
Vice Chairman Sheck,
Yes.
and Chair Finley.
Yes.
Motion passes to approve the consent calendar unanimously. The next item on the agenda is item G1. Let me stop share. I'll stop sharing. Fred, you have the floor. Item G1 is to receive an update of the budget, and fee study process, and if necessary, we schedule April's regular board meeting to allow for time to resolve any issues with the city's cost pool allocation. There are no speakers in this item.
Are you able to see the full screen?
It looks like we're looking at the viewer
Okay.
display, so we probably want to, there you go.
Okay.
That's it.
Perfect. Okay.
May we have the staff report, please?
Deputy Director Fred Tran is going to do a short presentation providing the board with an update on the fiscal year 2022-23 budget.
Good evening, Chair Finley and members of the Rent Board. I'm Fred Tran, the Deputy Director of the Rent Program. The item before you is the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget and fee study update. During last month's February regular Rent Board meeting, the Rent Program staff presented the proposed option A and option B to the board. Staff was directed to return with a proposed option B budget and fee study for consideration. Currently, the proposed budget with every line item is being developed for the board to review and offer any suggestions. Once complete, the executive director will submit the proposed budget to be published for a public hearing. Staff met with the budget analysts from the finance department the day after the February board meeting. The fringe benefits percentage and citywide cost pool allocations were needed to complete the budget and fee study. The finance department informed the program to expect a significant increase in general liability and workers' compensation insurance. As of today, the new citywide allocation method for the cost pool expenditures has yet to be fully calculated and refined by the city. Staff has requested further details and the assumptions for the new methodology from the Human Resource and Finance Department. The cost pool for administrative charges and civic center allocations are also still currently outstanding. The city's delay in receiving the finalized cost pool allocation has postponed the proposed budget and corresponding fee study process. Additional time is required to be able to obtain and review accurate cost pool amounts from the Finance and Human Resource departments. The program is currently engaged with the city to discuss the new methodology. Potentially, the new methodology may conflict with Section 50076 of the California Government Code. It may be considered unreasonable if the new cost pool allocation amounts are comprised of estimated costs beyond actual charges to the program. Rent program staff will evaluate and finalize the proposed budget and fee study when revised cost pool allocation amounts are provided by the Finance Department. The updated proposed budget and fee study will be presented to the Rent Board for potential adoption once completed by the Rent program staff. Presented here is a revised timeline of the fiscal year 2022-2023 budget fee study. Our goal is to receive the final cost pool amounts by the end of next week to complete the proposed budget and fee study. If the fees are consistent with option B, the program will publish the proposed budget and fee study in early April for inspection by the public. Rent program staff will present a proposed budget and a potential adoption by the Rent Board and City Council in late April. Recommended action is to receive an update of the budget and fee study process, and if necessary, reschedule April's regular board meeting to allow for time to resolve for any issues with the city's cost pool allocation. This concludes my presentation, and I'm available for any questions.
Are there any questions by board members?
I have a question.
Yes, Ms. Connor.
So one of the items is to potentially reschedule the regular board meeting. Do we have a way of accomplishing that without being in a meeting? I guess that's really for Mr. Oceanuga and maybe not for Mr. Tran.
Are you asking, do you have to reschedule it at this meeting, or can we reschedule it outside of this meeting?
Whether if it becomes necessary to reschedule it outside of this meeting, can we accomplish that without having to call a meeting?
No, I think what would happen is you can so I think you would have to reschedule it during a meeting, during a public meeting, because it is an action. Typically what would happen, what we've done in the past is that we just alerted board members that we're going to have a special meeting in lieu of a regular meeting. And so board members just opted not to show up at the regular meeting. And then we would cancel that meeting for lack of quorum. But I think the more appropriate thing to do is take the scheduling issue in a public meeting, because it is a public action. If that makes sense. So.
It does. So then, Chair Finley, if I could ask one more question, and this now really is for Mr. Tran.
Certainly.
Given the constraints of the time and the uncertainty of receiving the information that we need, are you suggesting we consider rescheduling April's board meeting now?
Right now,
Discussing rescheduling April's board meeting now.
yes. And just like you'd mentioned, we don't have a definite timeline as to when we'll receive the information. We've been in constant discussion with the city and multiple departments. If we schedule now, then we have all board members and chair and vice chair available. If it has to be more of the call to and then have to cancel it logistically, it may just be a little more difficult.
So do you have a date in mind where you believe this will be completed, given the time commitment to prepare the fee study and the budget, but also being mindful of where we are in the year and where we need to be to present to the city council?
I would suggest possibly 2 weeks afterwards, but we still, until we get the definite allocation or explanation of the allocation, it may be a bit difficult to completely determine a definite date.
Any other board members have questions? I would like to pose a question then in that case to Mr. Oshanuga, I believe, and Mr. Tran, if you need to step into this as well. When I'm looking at how do we proceed with this, my first question is, we certainly don't need a motion to receive the budget and the fee study process, and we've begun that. But do we need a motion to reschedule a meeting, or can staff just take that on its own once it has more information? And if we do have to schedule a meeting, do our rules allow us to schedule a meeting without a date specific?
So taking your second question first, yes, you need to have a date specific. Our rules do allow the rescheduling of the regular meeting by majority vote. And I guess that answers your first question as well, that we need a date. I just don't think it's appropriate for staff to go on its own and take an action that the rent board has to take that needs to occur in public. Yeah. So today would be the best day. And I understand that, staff may not know, given the uncertainties, they may not know what exact date is going to be proper, but I think that's okay. I think the idea is to allow as much time as possible for staff and city to meet and resolve these issues while maintaining a date in April for a meeting. So if you, for instance, rescheduled for the end of April, and it just so happens that discussions are continuing, that's okay. We come back at the end of April, we let you know we're still talking, that's fine. Hopefully everything will be resolved by then, but I've been in all of the discussions, and it's not moving as quickly as I would like it to move. So I'm not sure what date's appropriate, but I would just suggest if you are all a little worried about the date, I would probably pick the furthest date as possible in April that works for every board member's schedule, or at least for the majority, so we can have a quorum.
And Mr. Tran, first of all, Mr. Oshanuga, thank you. I agree with all of your statements.
Virginia, are you moving?
Froze. I think she froze.
I think chairs. Okay.
She's frozen.
Let's give her a minute to get back on.
Is there any particular day in the week?
Is that?
Oh, we hear you now,
Yeah.
Chair.
Yes.
Are we all right now?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I see on the task list that we're trying to get our completed copy to eScribe by, is that April 7th?
Fred, can you go back to that slide, please?
Correct. It is April 7th.
So that doesn't give us much of April to work on these documents, let alone you to get them so that they're in some sort of a form for us. Is that date movable?
Those dates are hard set by city managers. We can push to a different council meeting. There's we can go to the May 3rd council meeting, which is the Tuesday after. Or May 17th is more likely going to be the last meeting we potentially may be able to go to.
If I may, you know, in the alternative, you can just maintain your regular board meeting in April,
Mhm.
and you can just use that as a, you know, if it's a status report, then it's a status report. If we resolve the issues and gives us enough time to have that public 10-day notice requirement, then it's the actual budget, you know, and if it's a status report, like I said, then at your regular meeting in April, your normal date, you can schedule a follow-up meeting that satisfies the 10-day requirement and gets us back
Okay.
for you rather quickly.
Well, if we do that, then that solves we don't have to move that meeting to a new date. But we would have to have a short meeting in order to accomplish what we need to do, which is to then set a date. Is that correct, Charles?
Yeah, assuming that the issues are not resolved. Yes.
Yeah, okay, all right. And then just so that everyone knows, unfortunately, I am out of town from April 27th through May 3rd. So I'm not available. So just write that down somewhere so that we know. With a very small board, every person counts, of course. So at this point then, the recommendation, as I understand it, is that we don't have to do a date specific for our next agenda to meeting, because we're going to meet automatically on the date that we have in the month of April, which I believe is the
20th,
I'm sorry, what's the date on that?
April 20th.
The 20th.
Right. If you maintain the normal date, you do not have to take any action.
Okay,
Item.
good. And then I just want to make clear that everyone understands that I believe that it's crucial that if we do have to have a specific hearing to accept a new budget or new budget items, that would have to be a meeting. Way in the world that we can do that with a phone call or that's got to be in the public, it's got to be notified. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Now, are there any questions from other board members about this item?
If I could just add one thing to the item, it wasn't
Surely.
mentioned, but it might be worth mentioning to you all, but specifically board member Vassilas. I know he had brought it up in the last meeting concerning the reimbursement agreement. It's kind of shorthand for the city's responsibility to ensure that we just don't go bankrupt, right? To keep us afloat in hard times. That's one of the issues that's currently being discussed as well. So I've resurrected that issue. It's a new city attorney who's leading the office. And, you know, I think I can't get into the discussions, but I just want you all to know, specifically board member Vassilas, because it was his question, I am vigorously fighting for a position that I think we all hold on this board.
I would just say that I would hate to put that on the table as a bargaining grant if all of the other items that we're going to be charged for are not appropriate. I don't see that just because we can borrow more money, it makes it okay to pay more for expense. So just thank you, Charles. We appreciate that. And thank you, Michael, for bringing it. We had known that this was a hot item for a long time. So again, do we have more on the staff report, or are you ready for us to, well, we don't even need to make a motion, do we?
You do not.
No, because we're receiving and we're going to have our meeting as we had originally determined.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, in that
Okay.
case,
The next
let us
item.
continue.
Okay. The next item on the agenda is report of officers. This will be a pretty quick meeting.
I only have a 15-minute speech prepared.
Now's the time,
Yeah,
Nicholas.
right. So I want to announce some good news. We recently hired a new staff person, an administrative aide. Her name is Julie Mendoza, and she's a Richmond resident, lives not too far from me, actually. So she just started, 2 days ago, and we're in the process of training her. So we just wanted to welcome her and let the board know of our new employee. And I don't know, I thought we were going to be able to see her join in, but I guess not.
I could if she's available. Yeah, I can. I think she's on the line.
Yeah, I just promoted her to the panel.
Oh, okay, good.
She's on
Okay.
now.
So you can say hello to her real quick and she can say hello to you.
Hi,
Hi.
Julie.
I'm in. Hi. Nice meeting you all.
Delighted to have you with us.
Thank you. I look forward to working with everybody. Thank you.
And Nicholas, what will this young lady be doing for us? I missed that.
Julie will be working in the public information and enrollment unit, mainly focusing her energies on billing and enrollment. So assisting our two existing billing enrollment staff with getting out our invoices, making sure that properties are properly enrolled and tenancies are registered. And she'll also be providing other clerical support. For example, we have workshops. Our administrative aides often assist with the clerical work around setting up those workshops.
Thank you. Anything else, Mr. Taylor?
No, that's it. I just wanted to introduce everyone, and that is it. Thank you.
Okay. Well, in that case, this meeting is has ended at 5:27 p.m.
Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
your evening, everyone. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.